Before I discuss actual classroom management, I think it is worthwhile looking into first some warning signs of bad teaching. Many times, maybe it's not because of classroom management that bad teaching is happening inside the classroom. Here, according to research, are some warning signs. Let's take a look at them and make sure they do not appear inside our classroom. Number one, when the teacher shows little knowledge of the subject matter he or she is supposed to be teaching, bad teaching is happening there. We teachers have to be more than just a chapter ahead of our students. What we want to teach to our students, we have to master, we have to know well to be able to effectively pass it on to our students. And so I encourage all teachers, we have to be the first example of being lifelong learners. Let us keep on reading a lot of books, watching videos, looking for ways of how we can more and more effectively transmit the lessons we need to pass on to our students effectively. Here's the second warning sign: when the teacher lacks basic academic skills. I used to teach in a school where we are always reminded every teacher is an English teacher. Regardless of what subject we're handling, we have to work on getting better and better in the way we speak in Filipino or in English or in whatever dialect we are supposed to communicate with them. That is a basic academic skill. The third warning sign of poor teaching happening inside the classroom is when the teacher holds low expectations for the students. It's very important that we go inside the classroom to motivate, to inspire, and to move our students to get better and better in what they're doing, in what we're asking them to do. But if the teacher has low expectation of the students, that they are not going to achieve, that they are not going to be able to succeed in whatever they're doing, you can be sure poor teaching is happening there. Here's the fourth: when the teacher makes little effort to maintain discipline. When the classroom is like a zoo and the teacher is helpless and not able to get the students do what he wants or she wants them to do. That is poor teaching happening inside the classroom. Remember, this is a course on classroom management, and our objective is how we can get the students do what we want them to do with as little effort as we possibly can put in. And there are strategies. The fifth warning sign of bad teaching is when the teacher is not able to focus on academic goals. You've ever heard of a class where students ask, "We don't even know what we are supposed to accomplish. We don't even know why we need this assignment or why this project was given to us." Sometimes you hear students complaining that way because they are not given clear academic goals inside the classroom. Sixth warning sign of poor teaching happening inside the classroom is when the teacher cannot communicate knowledge in an interesting way. We've heard it too many times. Student complaining, "I am bored. The subject is boring. The teacher is boring." Well, poor teaching may be happening there when the teacher is not able to get the students excited about the subject. Whatever subject we are teaching, there are creative ways that we can make the subject interesting, the learning of the subject very engaging, and students looking forward to our next class. Number 7 now, when teachers give disorganized lessons and careless, vague assignments, you can be sure that's a warning of bad teaching happening inside the classroom. When students start complaining, "We don't even know why this project was given. We don't even know what this assignment is all about or why it is being given to us and how it is related to the subject matter that we are taking up at this point." Bad teaching is happening there. The 8th warning sign of poor teaching happening inside the classroom is when the teacher does not assign homework on a regular basis. Students should be able to develop the habit of studying at home or working on things that will enable them to understand the lessons better, not just inside the classroom, but even at home. The ninth warning sign of bad teaching is when the teacher is not aware of the strengths, weaknesses, and interests of students inside the classroom. That is when students become merely class numbers for the teachers, for example. I always tell this to the teachers I meet. It would be very, very sad if, for example, after spending one whole year inside your classroom, and the student goes on to the next level, grade level, and that's only the time you discover that that student you had for 1 year inside your classroom is probably the best violinist in the country. But you never knew it because you did not know the strengths, the weaknesses, and the interests of your students. Keep in mind this principle that we are always told: for education to be effective, it must be personal. And the personal there means that we have to get to know the students more than just being class numbers and more than just being names on a test paper. These are all thinking, feeling human beings. We have to connect with them. We have to get to know their interests, their hobbies, their likes, and then their strengths and weaknesses. The next warning sign that we have to be on the lookout for poor teaching is happening if the teacher shows little enthusiasm for his or her work. I know teaching can be very tedious sometimes, can be very demanding. But what we do inside a classroom, how we carry ourselves inside a classroom, matters. The students are going to be equally excited and enthusiastic if they see that in the teacher. But if a teacher goes inside a classroom looking like he or she is dragging his or her feet, like as if he is being led to a torture chamber, then most likely poor teaching will happen because the students themselves will not be able to put in excitement and enthusiasm for learning the subject matter. Here's number 11 now: when the teacher belittles students' efforts. You can be sure poor teaching is happening there when we are not able to see the fact that sometimes they put in so much time, so much effort in actually working on our subject matter. Except that maybe it's not their strength. Maybe it's not their greatest interest. But part of our work precisely is getting the students motivated. And more than just even motivated, excited and enthusiastic about our subject matter. So let's take a look at those efforts that they put in, appreciate them, and strengthen their resolve to do better and better in spite of sometimes not doing as well as we expect them to. Number 12, when the teacher shows no interest in communicating with the parents, most likely poor teaching is happening there. We have to keep in mind we teachers are collaborating with the parents. The parents are our collaborators and we have to get them to work with us. For example, as soon as the students are dismissed and they go home, they are not anymore within our control. But the parents should be able to work with us in helping their children succeed. And that is why we need to communicate with the parents. We have to let them know, for example, how they can help or support their child in our subject or in our class. And finally, number 13, bad teaching is happening when the teacher exhibits unsound character or unprofessional behavior. You must have heard it too many times. We teach by our example. The students pick up from our example. And the only effective way to teach character formation is through the powerful example of the teacher. Therefore, if the teacher demonstrates or shows unprofessional behavior or unsound character, not only are we not effective in giving character formation, we may actually be giving character deformation. And bad teaching is happening there. And many times the students talk more about that unprofessionalism or that lack of character than the subject matter that they are supposed to be learning inside our classroom. These are the 13 warning signs of bad teaching. Let's do away with them and make sure they are not inside our classroom. And then we can concentrate on putting in strategies so that we are able to manage the class, not just discipline, but especially in helping the students succeed in what they're doing in our classroom.